We don't normally look to psychopathic fictional advice columnists who actively poison people for elite financial and life advice. If you are anything like me, you probably feel a twinge of guilt when you pick up a trashy beach read. You want to decompress after a long week, but a little voice in your head reminds you that a thriller doesn't offer the immediate return on investment of a dense self-improvement book. We can actually fix that gap. Instead of treating fast-paced thrillers as mindless brain candy, we can read them as extreme psychological case studies. To test this, we are going to look at Freida McFadden's viral new book, Dear Debbie. By dissecting a fictional character's terrible energy investments and collapse of boundaries, we can extract an actionable mindset masterclass for the real world. Let's look at our subject. Debbie is a highly intelligent former MIT student who currently runs an advice column for her local town newspaper. On the outside, she is living a completely mundane, relatable life. She navigates the daily friction of raising 2 teenage daughters and managing a mostly disengaged husband. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. When her neighbor plays his music too loud, she sneaks into his basement and destroys his fuse box. To manage her family's stress, she extracts opium from her backyard garden to subtly drug them. She is a perfectly engineered example of what happens when a normal person operates with absolutely zero life guardrails. The plot twists are highly campy, but the anxieties driving her off the deep end are incredibly common for modern professionals. Strip away the absurd vigilante justice, and you are left with a stark cautionary tale about the real-world consequences of financial dependency, buried trauma, and terrible communication. The first major trap we can pull from this book is the devastating loss of financial autonomy. Early in the story, Debbie receives a letter from a woman who lives on a strict, tiny shoe allowance dictated entirely by her husband. He controls every single cent of their joint accounts. If she wants to buy groceries or replace worn-out clothes, she has to ask for his explicit permission, leaving her entirely dependent on his mood and approval. Relying entirely on a partner for your financial identity without your own safety net results in a total loss of leverage. This table compares 2 ways to handle shared finances. To avoid the trap on the left, you need the FU fund. This is a mandatory requirement for psychological safety. A separate individual savings account ensures you are never financially trapped, mitigating long-term vulnerability. The ultimate cost of financial convenience today is the absolute inability to leave a toxic or dangerous situation tomorrow. The second lesson comes from understanding why Debbie's adult life is so chaotic. It all stems from an unresolved, horrific assault she survived during her sophomore year at MIT. She never processed it. This creates emotional debt, the compounding psychological interest you pay when you refuse to deal with past pain. Debbie uses massive amounts of her daily psychological energy just to suppress that trauma and maintain her perfect suburban facade. Because she never addressed the root cause, the pressure eventually forces a toxic spillover into her adult relationships. It drives her toward unhinged, highly destructive decision-making. We see the corporate equivalent of this constantly. Professionals try to climb the ladder while aggressively avoiding personal therapy or processing their own emotional baggage. If you don't actively manage your mental health, you are always just one bad boundary away from becoming a true crime documentary. Saving face in the short term permanently sabotages your long-term emotional ROI. Healing is a non-negotiable operational investment. The final and most destructive mindset trap is the catastrophic failure to set healthy, incremental boundaries. Debbie passively allows disrespect to fester in her daily life. Instead of addressing issues head-on, she smiles, nods, and bottles it up. She avoids confronting the creepy soccer coach targeting her daughter, the boss treating her terribly at work, and her husband who is openly lying to her. This graph plots the overcorrection phenomenon. Because she avoids uncomfortable conversations early, resentment builds silently until she resorts to literal poison. Look at the alternative. Addressing friction early creates small, manageable bumps that prevent the massive red spike of total collapse. Avoiding a 5-minute awkward conversation today guarantees a massive emotional fallout tomorrow. Healthy boundary setting is the only sustainable way to manage your life without eventually wanting to burn it to the ground. Let's shift gears and look at the book itself. We need to weigh its actual literary merits against its raw entertainment value. It has obvious flaws. The writing is highly repetitive. Phrases like me are used constantly. and the dialogue often leans heavily into camp. But those flaws are offset by its highly engineered readability. McFadden writes short, 2-page chapters specifically designed to keep you turning the page. You are explicitly trading realistic, Pulitzer-level storytelling for a fast-paced, high-velocity thrill ride. A book doesn't need to be high art to be highly valuable. Sometimes you just need a mental palate cleanser that prompts a little self-reflection. This chart breaks down who should invest 5 hours into this book. If you require pristine prose and realistic storytelling, skip it. It will frustrate you. If you're a burned-out professional needing unadulterated drama to decompress, you will easily devour this. Read it. It is perfectly fine to read fiction for the drama, as long as you apply the brutal financial and boundary lessons to your real life. Hit the like button if you actively maintain your own FU fund. Subscribe for more actionable reviews, and let me know in the comments below, what is the craziest thriller that actually taught you a useful life lesson?